Too late. And I moved into the subdivision in 2011, and I was voted in as a trustee, and I've been a trustee for 8 years now. And I take care of the roads the best I can, and that's all I can do there. I make sure there's signs up, and when we had a complaint about a kid almost being hit, I built a speed bump, put signs up, children at play. That's my job.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Randy. I'm the new trustee, and I pretty much just do whatever needs to be done and whatever I can do to help out. This is Dee. She's gonna talk to you guys about the finances, and then we'll open up questions.
You make me do all the talking, guys.
All you gotta do is tell them.
You the boss.
I am not the boss. You were a trustee before I was. I
Stand
am
up.
not the boss. I'm Dee Barnett. Basically, my job is taking care of the money. I'm the treasurer. I'm the one that takes care of all the financial stuff, all the legal papers. I have a degree in criminal law, was a cop for a long time, so I kind of knew all that stuff going in. And I welcome anybody that has any kind of a problem, you know, to come talk to me about it or call me. Because if it's not something that I handle, I'm gonna call Butch or I'm gonna call Randy, and they're gonna take care of it. So that's basically what, you know, what my part of all of this is. Since I'm the last one to talk, I'm gonna talk a little bit about finances, because everybody wants to know, do we have any money? Can we spend any money? You know, that kind of thing. So I ran our bank statement this morning, so it's very up to date. Right now we have $3,200 in the bank. I'm sorry, $3,800 in the bank. That's the lowest I think that it's been since I've been handling the money, and that's been 8 years. 8 years now. Part of the issue is the way, if you think about it, you know, and it's in my brain all the time, but we send out bills twice a year, and the bills are for $75 twice a year. And with the number of houses that we have, that brings in $4,000 every 6 months. So $4,000 to run the subdivision for half a year. Now, I don't know about what your bank statement looks like, but I can't run my house on $4,000, but we're running a subdivision on it. So we have to really kind of look how we're gonna spend our money and the way we do it. Butch is really good about working on asphalt and potholes. Randy now is also gonna be doing that kind of work. What we do is those guys take care of the potholes as they're popping up, and this is the time of year that they start freezing and thawing and we see them. And that's what they do 1 year. Then the next year, we lay asphalt. So you probably know the big black strip that's going down Ozark now. That was done last year. Whenever I send the bills out, if everyone pays, we get $4,000. Now, a lot of people pay $150 at one time. So that means on that 6 months, maybe I'm not gonna get 75 from them, I'm gonna get it the next 6 months. So it's not always, you know, it's not always balanced. But we had quite a bit of money in the bank last year, and he walked the road with the asphalt contractor that we use, who comes into the St. Louis area. Is he from Arkansas? He comes in and works in the St. Louis area every year, and we've worked with him before. And they were planning on doing the other half of the hill. But the hill wasn't breaking down. It wasn't what he calls alligating, alligating, where it breaks
That's
up
all
into those
cracked
little,
up.
you know, little
More
square
she gets under
pieces.
it and it pops out.
Yeah, it wasn't really doing that. So they decided that they would do that run of asphalt where they ended up putting it. And that was $11,000. Okay, now we go back to what I said to begin with. I bill twice a year, I get $4,000 each time. So that's a total of $8,000 a year that we get to run the subdivision on. We paid $11,000 for asphalt. Our streetlights, first of all, Ameren would like us to take about half of them down. They're on me all the time about that. I just tell them we're fine where we are, but if you ever notice the bills that you get for your house, they're always wanting for you to change over to different types of thermostats in your house to save energy, different kinds of heat to save energy. So they're wanting us to save energy by taking down street lights, and so far, I don't know if they're gonna force it or not. So far, we're not doing that. But we pay $200 a month for street lights. And that's basically the largest expense that we have in the year, other than whatever the asphalt turns out to be. But that changes every year, so I don't know what that's going to be. But, so we're spending $2,200 a year for streetlights, $11,000 for asphalt. So now we're up to $14,000 for the $8,000 that was billed. And that doesn't take in snow plowing. And we don't know ever, what the weather's going to be. This past winter, I've lived there since '78. I've been there a long time. It was the worst really winter that we've ever had. And we've got a very good contractor. He lives off of Highway PP. When we call him, a lot of times he's out working, but he always has a cell phone with him, and we can get in touch with him pretty fast. We spent $3,800
This year.
for snow plowing this year. It's the most we've ever spent. That's one of the reasons why our money's down. $3,800 for snow plowing. I've had people say, we want to look at your records. We want to see where all our money's going. We think you're stealing our money. Okay, well, we got $11,000 for asphalt. We've got almost $4,000 for snow plowing. We've got $2,000 for lights, and we only get $8,000. So I don't know what I'm stealing, but it looks like we're in the hole. So we are lucky right now that we have $3,800 in the bank. We will actually be fine with that amount of money, because all that we're going to be spending out of that is streetlights. Every month we'll be spending $200 for streetlights. The guys are going to be buying the asphalt at Lowe's in bags and fixing holes so we're not bumping into holes. And the other expense we have is snow plowing, and we're going to say we're done this year. Of course, it snows all the way into April. But hopefully whatever we do have, it's not going to be very much. So I just wanted to go over the finances with you, because everybody always wonders, where does the money go? Every one of you, and even the people that you know in the subdivision that aren't here today, are welcome to come look at the books anytime you want to. I'll sit down the electric bills for you, the snowplow bills, everything I get, you can see how it was paid, when it was paid, which is almost immediately. And so I don't have anything to hide for records, except it's kind of a magic trick when we only get $8,000 and we spend that much more. But it's because we save it up over the year. So that's how we had enough that we could do the $11,000 last year, was because we hadn't done anything much the year before. We hadn't had much snow the year before. And so we gradually build up money, and then we spend it. And when we make a big expense like that, it's always on the road. This year, unfortunately, it was snow.
Shut the door.
And I'd like to say something about the snow plowing. I've seen people say, well, you charge this, he charges this, he charges that. He doesn't. He charges me $10 a bag for salt. And he's got a big hopper on his truck. To do all 3 hills, to plow and salt them, $350. When I moved in here, and you can ask Frank if you want, they were charging like $1,400 just to come in and salt and plow, weren't they?
I'd have to go look at the books. I don't remember where.
I do, I know Brad. Brad done the plowing and salting. This boy come in, he told me what he was gonna charge. And to do the whole subdivision and everything, it's $500 to plow and salt the whole subdivision.
And then I'll add something else on top of all that. A lot of you guys don't know, but anytime there's letters that have to go out to the subdivision, she pays for it. Comes out of her pocket. And she also pays for all the paint for the speed bumps. That doesn't come out of the subdivision money. That's her personal money that she's paying. And she spends her own money on some things, so it doesn't cost the subdivision money. You know what I mean? We're gonna open up for questions. We're not gonna belittle people, we're not gonna argue, we're not gonna fight, and you will be asked to leave. So I'll start with you, sir. Do you have any questions? Josh?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So we're plowing, like, the hill getting plowed and things is great, but if I can't get out of my driveway to get to the hill, like, I live at the bottom of the hill. So like, it's great that the hill is getting plowed, but if we can't get to the hill, cause I'm not going and buying a car that has 4-wheel drive just to get to work. Now, like, granted, I work for the school, so if the roads are that bad, I don't necessarily have to, but he had to call off work a couple days with 4-wheel drive, cause he couldn't get out to the hill. So like, do we have an extended plan, like in the future, like maybe this one person who's plowing is not the only person out there, like, do we have other bids, or are we looking, or was it just because we have been using them that we are gonna continue using them?
I got other bids, and every one of them, one guy told me to do the subdivision, it was $2,000.
Do
To
we
plow and salt,
How long have you lived here?
so.
have a year and a half?
Okay, yeah, I didn't think I recognized you.
We live across the street from one another, so.
Right across the street from you.
Yeah,
Mike's my father-in-law.
yeah. We didn't have snow this year. We had an ice storm. It's a whole different thing.
But we didn't pre-treat for that either, like,
It's an ice storm.
correct.
And
I
if
lived
you
in
watch
St. Louis,
television,
we
you saw
pre-treat.
all the roads down in St. Louis, their neighborhoods look just like ours. I talked to our snowplow driver and he said, let me explain something to you. Whenever I'm out there with my truck with the plow on it, I can't plow ice. It's like plowing concrete. It's hard, it's packed. And he said, my plow doesn't go under the ice and pick it up. It slides on top of the ice.
Right, I mean, and I understand that, I grew up in St. Louis, like, I understand how ice on the road works.
Yeah.
But had we pre-treated a little more, then it may not have been as bad, so that we could.
That's
like, it
why
didn't-
we ended
I
up with a
having
bill.
double
Hold
salt
on.
the hills.
My kids did Frank's driveway, and we pre-treated it, didn't we? And it didn't matter. They spent hours over there chopping away with,
Yeah,
you know.
they did.
It didn't matter because the ice packed on top of what snow fell. So there's nothing gonna get that off except for salting the crap out of it before, during, after. And after paying $11,000 for the asphalt, we didn't have enough money to pay $2,000 for him to salt the whole subdivision. It's all about money, unless everybody wants to vote now to raise the dues.
Yes. We need to raise
You
the
got a
dues.
second?
Yeah.
Second, okay. Discussion on raising the dues.
I am personally against it. I've had people saying for a long time we need to raise the dues. As long as we can pay the bills, and have money in the bank, I don't like the idea of asking you, cause you're all working hard, you've all got bills, you've all got stuff that you need to pay, and take money from you and have it sit in the bank. If we're not using the money, then we don't need it. And right now, we've got money sitting in the bank. So as long as we can, this year was very unusual, so we can't really look at this year and say, well, this is the way it's always gonna be. When I talked to the snowplow driver, he said, how many ice storms have we had? And he said, I can't even remember one this bad. So, you know, we're basing it on something that's, and we've got the money to pay what we need now. Now, the only thing that would change that I could see would be that we would be able to do more asphalting, and we could do it more every year. And so the asphalt would be more like the long patches that we had done last year. We could do longer sections, and we could probably get the entire subdivision asphalted, if we had more money in the bank. But
The
other than
last-
that, I don't know what it would be.
See, what it was
The
this
last
year,
bid was like 75,000 to 125,000 to do the whole entire
what
subdivision.
Simone was
We don't have
talking
nowhere
about,
near that.
is we could see Breezy Point up there was clear, and we're solid ice all in the back. And we've always, don't plow back there.
The reason why Breezy Point was clear faster than the hill is because nobody was packing the snow and the ice down trying to get up the hill.
But we're still, not getting treated.
Well,
or
my wife
anything.
had to park at the top of the hill, and I took her up to the hill and she had to walk up.
Yeah.
So,
So-
you know, my wife's done it, I'm not gonna do it, I'll stay home.
Yeah, but we get the front cleaned, and the people in the back are paying the same money as the people in the
You're
front.
exactly
We
right.
should have the same thing back
You're
there
exactly right.
for, and I watched the people on the other side of the street, didn't go to work for quite a while. I don't work.
Okay,
How many houses are in our subdivision? And
54.
are they all current? So that's 54 times.
they're not all current, are they?
No.
Are they current on their dues? I think there's a handful that's
Some are not
I-
legitimate
I would
homeowners, some are
say
just
that we
renters.
only have about 3 families that we have a problem with.
Whoever owns that house.
So, everybody's
So what
pretty
now?
good.
Well, she brought up the point that some are renters, not homeowners, but then I said, but the homeowners should still be
Homeowners pay,
paying dues.
yeah, the homeowners pay. The homeowners
really?
pay if they rent the house out.
If you own the house.
It doesn't have nothing to do with the people living there or anything like that. She sends notices to the owner theirself.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
So so my question is sort of long-term financial situation. Obviously, I mean, we've all experienced that the price of everything has been going up for
Yes,
the
it
last
has.
few years. Unless that trend changes, the price of asphalt, of snow plowing, of ice treatment, of electricity, it's all going to continue going up.
Mhm.
And we may be in a position right now where what we're getting in dues is covering what needs to be covered. But if the cost continues to go up, then I think we would need to revisit the question of raising
Sure.
dues. But then there's
Yeah.
an associated question that goes along with that. If we as a community need to have another vote on dues, let's say 12 months from now, that means we are going to have to schedule a community meeting for that. And my question is, could we agree today to go ahead and start setting at least biannual meetings moving forward so that we can address
We
these
can have a
issues?
meeting every year. That's
Address
not a
these
problem.
issues as they arise, reevaluating the situation
Sure.
on a yearly basis. Because our dues are very, very low.
They are. But we
I,
have also had some people in the subdivision that live on assisted living, social security, and they might not be able to pay that. So
We have a lot of seniors in our
the
subdivision.
only other thing is individually, what do you think you can pay? You think you can pay $300 a year?
yes,
Okay, so yours would be 300.
Yeah.
And then the other person's is only gonna be 150 because they can't afford it. Is that fair to everybody? I mean, I don't know.
Well,
The
If
last
we raise the
time-
dues, are we gonna raise it for everybody or just the people that can
but
afford it?
so
no,
I
it-
think part of the problem is like it's a question of paying for the things that the HOA is in agreement to pay for, like the snow plowing, the salting. If we get to a place where those responsibilities can no longer be covered because you're not getting in the money you need to cover them.
Sure,
Then we are going to be faced with the necessity to raise HOA fees.
Absolutely.
I went to buy 5 bags of asphalt for 4 holes that needed to be fixed. And Butch fixed them. It was almost $100. The only way we can get the asphalt guys out is $11,000. They won't work for less than that. I mean,
No,
it's just-
I just,
hard.
I remember the last time that we had dues raised, and were you there?
Yeah, actually, I read up on that, this
Thank you.
morning. That was,
This is Dave Brown guy.
yeah, I used to be a trustee years ago, and I appreciate, it's been years ago. I appreciate the efforts. Usually the job's a thankless job. There's all kinds of complaints and all kinds of accusations float around, and it's a thankless job. No matter how hard you work, there's always somebody that disagrees with whatever choice you make. So, and plus work so I stepped out. But whenever I look at this picture, I appreciate y'all's input. I mean, everybody has a stake in this. It's like sharing the cost of a pizza. You know, all of us contribute, and if we don't pay up, we don't get fed. You know, so it's all.
When was the last time they went up? Do you have?
2003 is what
So
I read in the
2003.
bylaws of the amendment of seeing that go through. And I agree, the young lady that was saying about talking about the cost, I agree with that assessment, that sooner or later, we're stuck in the trap. Either we buck up now and accumulate the values as we roll forward to pay for major expenses, or we end up with a one-time assessment. You know, say the culvert washes out. You know, we've got a creek rolling through the subdivision. Say we get a washout, a heavy rain and a washout, and then maybe, who knows what the expense of replacing that culvert would be, but it would be a major expense. And it
Well,
would be,
we got a surprise our first year.
I'm sorry.
We
can I
got a
hold you?
call that we ended up owing $2,000.
Hold on.
Yeah, I appreciate but if we end up in those kinds of expenses, it would be an assessment for everyone in the subdivision to make those repairs. You know, we can't just have a non-access. And I think that, in opinion, okay, I'll present this out, I think that we have to maintain access to the roads. So we gotta change our strategy a little bit about making sure the road's clear for services and egress in and out. If we can't get to work, people can't get to work, or we can't get our services of mail, trash, delivery services, none of this stuff, it's an expense that we can't afford to lose. So we gotta pay up. And we're all sharing the expense. I don't think anything as far as, I said I was involved years ago and I didn't see anything that I see from the years I've been down there that suggests any inappropriate use of funds. There, you know, things are expensive and there's a whole lot of self-sacrifice in these efforts that are going on. I don't see anything that suggests there's any kind of inappropriate there's nothing there to be spent.
One of our,
Other than what's being
Well,
consumed.
Dave,
in
do
the
you remember
services.
when we voted and took it up to 150?
Yes.
Do you remember that day? We
I
had the meeting out in the lawn,
Right.
kind of by Luke's house.
Yep.
And Marion Greify at that time was our
Right.
treasurer, an older woman, and she's definitely older than that now. And she got up and said, we have people that cannot afford $150.
Well,
So that's why we broke it into two $75 payments.
well, the total expense, you know, I'm a math guy, you know, a project engineer by trade. So, you know, I understand the concept of that, but whether you do it once a year or you do it all year long, every day, if you want to make that payment, it still ends up being the same cost. So, and I feel for the people that can't afford it, but it's not the other homeowners' responsibility to carry it. Either they can or they can't. If they can't, sooner or later from the sale of the house, that value comes back through the liens that
Yeah.
we are placing on the house. So, and I'm not suggesting that we, you know, go back to concrete streets. You know, that would be an expense, but I am suggesting that we maintain the services that we need to keep viable as a subdivision. We have to get in and out to work, we need these services, delivery, elderly people are counting on prescriptions to be delivered, online services are getting more and more prevalent.
Yeah.
Those deliveries are getting to be important. So that's what I suggest is that restructuring.
Hey, Dave, that assessment you're talking, that's in, beyond the,
Yes,
dues.
yes, there's a clause in the bylaws that says, hey, if we have a catastrophic event, we have to,
Put an assessment to each house.
you know, get it repaired, and then there's a assessment to every home. A special assessment to get that done, and I'd like to avoid that. That's a unscheduled expense that we don't wanna see, I don't wanna see it.
We do have a house across the street from me and Dave that was,
Foreclosed.
foreclosed on. And they owe us several $1,000s, right?
I'm fighting that battle
And
right
if
now.
we get a hold of that money, we'll have that money before the house sells to put in the bank. So we might have a little extra money this year because of that house.
Well, one of the things that, people who know me, these guys especially, if anybody owes us money, they're gonna see me all the time. And I went after the, owner builder that put the houses up on Crosswinds Point, who promised that he was going to fix the roads after he got done. And he became a fairly good friend of mine, and he would come up at lunch and just open my front door and walk in. A lot of people do that. You're all welcome to open my front door and walk in. He came in and sat down, and he said, I came to say goodbye to you because we're finished. And I said, oh, you've got them all built and everything? And he said, yeah, and they were all under contract. So I won't be back, I just came to say goodbye. And I said, no, Frank, you owe me money for the road. You promised that you were gonna pay me for the road. Oh, I can't afford that. Well, I had gotten to know that Frank was a multimillionaire. So I'm pretty sure Frank could afford to fix the road. So, I file liens, to get the money for the subdivision. I don't like doing that, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And he refused the liens, and we took him to court, and we fought against his Clayton attorney, and we won the case. But even after you win the case, you still don't get the money. You know, what are you gonna do? So he died, and I went after his estate, and I got our money. So when people owe money to the subdivision, I don't quit. We've got that house at the end of the road right now, and unfortunately, the gentleman that owned it passed away from COVID. His wife left like 2 weeks after he died. The house is awful. The people who decided they were going to take it on and fix it up and sell it, gave up on that idea. So now it's in foreclosure, and they are telling me the same thing. You have to take the liens off, because we're trying to sell the house. I said, if you can afford to come up and clean all the junk out, you can afford to put tarps on it, you can afford to have people cutting grass, you can afford the liens. So I'm in that battle with that house right now, and they owe us about $3,000. It's not a lot of money, but I will get it.
Okay, we got a first and a second to raise the dues. Any more discussion?
Well, there's a
I
gentleman.
just had a question coming back to what you were talking about, those assessments.
Yeah,
What are we raising?
Were you describing basically when there's a large unexpected problem with the common areas, that's kind of an emergency
right.
fundraising process?
How much is it gonna be?
So what we're, and we just came in, so I'm sorry we were.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
But, we, of course, we didn't hear that conversation about raising the dues.
Yeah,
From what to what?
Well, we haven't discussed what to what yet, we're
Oh.
just discussing.
whether
Everybody
we'll
can
want to or
answer,
do it.
ask a question about raising the dues, that's
Sure.
fine, but we'll have to discuss raising
Okay, I
it
just didn't know if I missed
before anybody
something.
can vote on it.
Yeah,
And
Can you start
to
over from the
clarify,
beginning?
because this
Okay.
gentleman that was
Hold on.
speaking directly to me, or he was asking me this question. To clarify, I'm not a trustee, I'm a past trustee.
I understand
stepped
that.
out. But how I understood the way the bylaws are written, and hopefully I'm addressing your question directly, is that if we have a catastrophic event, there can be a one-time assessment past the dues to say, hey, we have this expense and we have to correct the road. And this gets assessed to all homeowners, and that's outside the dues.
Yeah, and so that would basically be for an emergency,
Right. Right,
collection,
say
basically.
the entrance, the concrete washed out, or whatever we had up at the entrance, or whatever, that was interfering with getting in and out, there would be a one-time assessment.
Okay.
And as far as the drainage, all the ditch that drains all that water down is not the subdivisions, it's the homeowners. They have to pay for all that stuff.
That's
Yeah.
on their
But will
problem.
they come to us and say, hey, we will pay to have a big, find somebody to fix it? We could do that.
Yeah.
But we can't take it out of the subdivision money.
Well, the way I see it, it's only one side of the road has a ditch, the other side doesn't.
Yeah.
So everything has to cross the road. It's
Sometimes.
underneath your blacktop, it freezes. and
Yeah.
And it
We
goes
had a
all the way down
blowout.
the street.
And two,
Go ahead, man.
I think, cause on our property, we have that ditch and we have a lot of flowing water very
Sure.
fast when it rains. And I think we would be open to paying for that ourselves, you know, what is on our property.
You would have to.
But the question, I think, that is lingering about the drainage issue throughout the community is that there seems to be nowhere that it's actually draining to effectively.
There's
And
actually two storm drains that take the water behind the houses and it runs down to the dip. You know, have you been to the end of our
Yeah.
road?
We've been down there.
That dip, I've seen that dip that deep in water.
It's been knee deep down there.
There's nothing you can do about it because it's on private property. We cannot do nothing to anybody's property unless we get written consent to do something or to help you out. I will help you out if you call me and say, hey, we're doing this to our ditch, can you come up and help us? And I will make sure we find a couple volunteers and we'll come up and help you.
Is that something, though, that you as HOA trustees could appeal to that private property owner to?
We would have to get
to deal
written
with?
permission, we'd have to have our lawyer look at it, which costs us money. We just can't step on your property and start digging.
Yeah.
We
You know,
don't
we-
have
we
any
get that.
common ground in
Yeah,
it.
we don't have no common ground in the subdivision.
I'm not asking you to come and
Oh,
dig
no,
our
sure.
ditch. It's more like, we need to make sure that that water can actually drain somewhere else other than someone else's property.
Yeah, exactly like his.
So I am said private homeowner that both drain ditches are on our property. They were both put in before I bought the house, but the one that's right after my driveway was actually paid for in full by the previous owner and the neighbor. I don't have a problem with you guys cleaning those out or anything. The problem isn't that they don't get cleaned out. The problem is all of those drain ditches coming down the road get full of stuff, debris. It washes it straight down to the culverts and then it clogs that drain up and then it floods into my yard, through my backyard. My fence is falling down because of it.
Okay, now,
So-
let me help you out just for a second. That grate that's by your street, if anybody drives by and see there's leaves on it, they can get out and kick them off or take a rake or, you know, whatever. But we do clean that drain. How much did it cost us? $2,000 something
$2,000.
to clean the drain underneath your yard. I mean, it was a lot.
Just a few years ago.
Are you talking about the one in between the driveways or the
she's
one
talking
that's on the
about the
street,
On the side,
The grate.
that side road?
on your side,
So-
where the road comes up and your place is right here, that drain that goes that way.
Okay,
We had to pay $2,000 something to clean that out because that is our responsibility.
yeah, them pipes in there about that big around,
Mhm.
going underneath there.
And they was clogged.
And they were.
The guy said that he
I remember that.
had to use that high powered freaking truck that was out there and
Mhm.
hose and everything else. So that was a lot of money.
I know that,
Yeah, the-
one of our former trustees, went down on the side of Ozark that comes down the hill where the culvert pipes are. And at that time, the driveways were solid, there were no culvert pipes there, and all the water was going onto the road. And so he personally bought the culvert pipes and had a contractor drill and make the holes and get the culvert pipes in. And they did like 2 houses a year, as he could afford to pay for it out of his own pocket, and put all those lines down. Now, if you look at them now, a lot of people have let groundwater wash all the dirt into those ditches, and some of those culvert pipes, you only see about this much of them anymore, and they're supposed to be maintained by the homeowner, not us.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I just wanna let you know that we do pay a lot of money to have that drain cleaned out, but did you have something else?
Yeah, so I had a couple things. One thing is, we could probably get the electric bill down. So, I just built a building in Fenton, right? So Ameren charges per street light to run, that's why we pay $250 a month, right? So Ameren's got promotions going on right now where if you switch your lights from the old style light to,
LED.
probably.
yeah, I'm sorry,
All of our
I was
lights-
drawing
all
a
of our
blank.
lights
fine.
are
But the
LED.
new style of LEDs, it's
All in one.
free.
All of the
Ameren-
lights are LED already.
Right, but the new
they're the wrong
style,
sign.
the new style LEDs that they have out now, they upgraded, I had 3 lights put in our building and then 2 of them upgraded. The upgrade's free. They don't charge you a dime for it. They
Did you
just,
see the trucks going down through Ozark like 2 weeks ago? And they were climbing the poles? That's what they were doing.
upgrading to the new LEDs. So the electric bill should go down because they charge less for those. Cause that's the whole reason we upgraded them all at the building. Cause it was gonna be like 20 or 30 bucks a month for the light, and then we upgraded it and it went to 10.
Okay, so
5
any
or
more
10.
discussion on possibly raising the dues? If not,
One more thing I'd like to add, I think this is progressive. The last time we had a increase in dues was in 2003. You see, someone brought up the point of inflation and the way things go. So why don't we plan on that inflation and just do a 3%, that's a standard rate, every year increase of inflation, and that helps us maintain that increase year after year in relationship to inflation. And that could end this discussion moving forward and end up with these deficits 5-10 years down the road.
okay, so we're gonna table your motion for a second and your second. And you said that we should change to 3% per year?
I would say that we.
Every year it goes
we're
up
so far
3%.
behind, I would say that we agreed on an amount, we bump up to where we think we need to be, and at the same time install next year, it's an additional 3%.
Okay, now, anybody else got an idea on what we should raise our dues to per year, every 6 months?
My only problem is, we're down there on Parisi Point, been there 17 years. First year we've ever had our snow plowed, never ever had our road repaired. Tell us it's impossible to put a light down there. I don't get anything out of it other than driving through. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the roads I'm coming in
I
on.
understand.
But I'm at the point where we've never gotten anything from this.
If I get you a dusted on light that I have in my basement,
You can't put it up. Our poles, the pole they had, they came out and looked at
Okay,
it. The
now it's
last
inside of
meeting
your
is
house.
way up there in the woods.
Yeah,
It's in the woods.
it's
When you
in
get
It's
Burns
in the
Mill.
woods. I can't have one, don't get me wrong.
well,
Again,
could we get you a 4x4 post by 10 foot and put it somewhere and then put that on there? Cause all you have to do is plug it in, then you just don't even worry about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could put my own up, but I'm just saying.
Well,
as
I've
far
got an
as-
extra one I'm not
I was
using.
gonna say, he said he had one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have one.
Basically, what Ed's talking about is our road.
We've never had one. Never seen
You
one.
know, no,
Yeah.
it stopped at flows. They have repaired it, but they stop at flows.
Every time.
We're the last house. So we were told, because our neighbors are behind, they don't pay,
They
they're
won't do the
not
road.
gonna come up. That's not fair. When we
Right.
bought our
I agree
house,
with you.
we had to pay all the dues that those people were behind. We had to pay them before we could do anything. I mean, can't sign on the dotted line unless you're willing to pay.
Yeah, our house we bought in foreclosure.
Oh,
We
okay,
paid all the
you know,
back.
that's fine, but I've lived here 6 years and I've never seen a plow. Never.
No, they don't
Not
plow
on
down by
my,
us.
not on our road.
No,
Well, even
Ed, that's what we were
whatever,
talking about.
I had to buy my
On the
wife a
whole
four-wheel drive vehicle to
subdivision,
get
'cause
in and
I
out
don't
of the
get plowed.
subdivision.
Yeah.
I mean, even if there
Right.
was a thing, and I understand if there's a
Well,
couple
the way-
inches of
the way
snow,
we
no,
usually-
don't worry about it, you know,
The
but
way
when
we
you
look
get to
at
that
it is
point where it's,
Ozark Drive, if you look at Ozark from the bottom of the hill back to where we live at the very
Right.
end, it's flat as a pancake. If you can't drive on flat Ozark Drive, you don't need to be out of, you don't need to be out of the road.
well, I have to go
yeah,
to work.
our road goes
We have to
up
go to
and
work.
turns.
No, I'm
Yeah.
talking about Ozark,
Yeah.
that's why we don't get plowed.
But it doesn't matter if
Well,
there's
if
8
that
inches of
reads
snow or
through.
10, we have to go to work.
Yeah.
Well, and so does everybody else here.
But she's saying if it's flat, I should be fine. No, if it's
No,
flat
no,
and
no,
8,
it's, that's
you know.
not the point. The point
Right.
is, you know, I have to climb a little bit of an angle to get to a level part of it.
right, you gotta get out of the subdivision, the
Yeah,
hill.
as long as the hill's clear, I can get out every time.
Yeah,
Well,
and I can too.
things kind of changed whenever we got Crosswinds Point.
Right.
Yeah.
That's higher than the hill that goes out of the
Right.
subdivision.
And no,
Those
like I
folks
said-
that are up there, they have to be plowed. They'll never be able to get out of there.
Right.
And so when we started doing Crosswinds Point, we said, this is crazy, we need to do Breezy Point too.
Right.
So that's when
And I
we started.
appreciate
And
that.
that's
There
when we
was,
started.
there was a night that I came home from work,
I know,
and both the neighbors were stuck in the road, I couldn't even get to my house. But now again.
I know you guys were late and I'm sorry, but we've
Yeah.
already discussed this to the point where we're just beating a dead cow, you know what I mean? We're gonna try our best to get all of the
Right. Like I
roads
said-
clear, but if we don't have the money, we can't do it. It's not our fault.
Okay,
So,
so, can we
we-
go back to the raising the fees?
We gotta,
Yeah, go ahead, you're
Right, but I
fine.
have a
we
suggestion.
got a motion to
Just skip
raise,
me.
we got a
It's fine.
second. Now we're discussing what you guys think we should raise it to. And we got one guy that says raise it 3% every year from now on. So what would you
What
like
if-
to do?
Instead of 3%, which I get the 3%, like I understand that that is the rate of what we're talking about, but what if we do a flat of 25, per 6 months? That's $50 more a house, it's about $2,700 more
Yes,
a
it
year.
is.
It puts a bank in there since we already have, what you said, 3,800 in the account. If the regular dues are covering what we have, plus a little bit of the overage is going to like help bulk us up, and if we don't have all these extra things. Like, I get that there are people that are struggling to pay the $75, but over the course of 6 months, if we can't come up with $25, like,
Exactly.
that, I think $25 is reasonable per 6 months.
Can I add this, can I add this to yours? We need to make it, 180, so you get, 75, $90.
No, 20, no.
At
No, I'm
25
talking
to the
200 a year, $25 every 6 months.
Okay, so you wanna do $200 every 6
Yeah, so
months?
it'd be 50 a year, but $25 every 6 months if we're splitting it in half,
Yeah, that'd be 25 per
6 months.
per 6 months.
Yes, 50 a year.
Okay, I thought you meant 25, just,
No.
okay. Yes, sir.
No.
With the
I think
concerns about-
Hold on, guys.
With the concerns about the folks who are on fixed income or even low income who already struggle to pay dues, is there any sort of grants or subsidies that could be available to help those folks out?
We're a private subdivision. She knows the people that are on assisted living, cause she's been doing this a long time.
Well, first of all, if we decide that we want to raise, I mean, we're kind of all on that boat. We don't make that decision here. This will be sent out to every homeowner in the subdivision, and they will get to make their choice and send it back in.
Yeah, we're not voting today, guys, I'm sorry.
Right.
Anybody else on $200? Is that cool with everybody?
My question is, what about the new people? I've been told that,
That's them right there.
okay, I was gonna say,
We are happy with 200 a year.
Okay,
And then I like the idea of going up to 200 the first year and then a continuing 3%
Right.
increase
I go
to
along.
account for the
Inflation.
inflation each year.
okay. we
so
can
are
do
you
that.
guys up on the new, what's it called?
5925, we're on the steep hill where the purples.
The newest houses.
Oh.
Circle.
Across the street from me.
Crossways.
Okay,
They're
no,
right
I'm
up by the
talking, I'm
front
not
of the
talking
subdivision.
We're
about
at
you guys.
6001 on the corner.
The brand
The
new
new
houses,
houses?
the newer
I
houses.
can't think of
I
what
don't
they're
know what the
calling
road
it.
is.
Crosswinds Point, is that what it's called?
Crosswind.
Is there anybody here from there?
There was one guy that should have been here, but his mom had a stroke.
Okay, cause I mean, I was told that they already pay more, so then.
How did they pay more? Everybody pays the
You
same.
told me that they pay more, that's why they get plowed.
No, everybody pays the same amount.
They get plowed because
The
it's a
only
steep
thing
hill.
that they pay for their own street light. Somebody was complaining that how come they get a street light and we want one too? When the builder was building.
Okay, well, we
those
don't even need to
houses.
No,
talk
that's
about
fine.
it if now,
Yeah,
I'm
he
being
put a
told they
street
don't.
light in and the homeowners on Crosswinds Point pay for their own street light.
yeah, that I knew.
No, everybody gets
Okay.
billed the same amount.
I think what Dave had to say was, on key, raise a section now, and then
3% a year.
some each year to keep up with it.
Yeah,
Because you go to the store now and everything's going up.
I'm not for paying a little more.
I think that we should pay more
Yeah.
now and do the 3%.
And-
One of the
Okay,
other
so-
problems
so
that
what-
we will
we
have
have
though
one
is
more-
there will
I've
be
got
more
one more
collection
question.
problems.
So what we got right now is we got a raise to 200 for this year, and then 3% every year after that.
And what we're evaluating.
Hold on, wait.
I've got one more suggestion. Times are changing for us. It's not the same as it was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
These services that we would get from delivery services, mail, UPS, FedEx, and it's just gonna keep getting worse. If we can't plow the roads to where the services will come down through the streets for whatever reason, the community loses
Yeah.
in this picture. So, to that gentleman's thought that, hey, you know, he lives up on a street that doesn't get plowed, and if he
We don't
can't
get mail for 2 weeks.
what, you know, if he
Yeah,
can't get his
we didn't
mail,
either.
can't get his trash picked up,
Medication.
he
That's the
can't
deal
get
we
his
get.
services.
Take
That's the way it is,
medication.
they won't come.
Right.
The ambulance won't come down if it's not
Medications,
plowed.
those things
And I had the
are
ambulance 5
critical
times
as
at
we're
my house.
moving forward, so we
And
have
that's
to
why they
keep
threaten
these
to tow everyone's
streets
vehicles in the
open.
street.
That's gotta be a
And that's why they
priority for
threaten
us
to
as a
everyone's
So-
vehicles.
But we
We
have
can-
to have the money
Because
to
it
do
blocks
We
it.
can
That's
pay-
Yeah.
understandable.
You're
To make it
exactly
make
right.
sense.
We can pay $2,000 and get the whole subdivision done, but then we're screwed the rest of the year.
Unless
So,
we,
I mean-
unless we increase the assessment to where we can
Sure.
afford that, and that's what we're talking about.
Well, as far as snow, what I was trying to say though, is just do a thing where if it's over so many inches, then you plow the whole thing. I mean, I
We
don't
do.
want it plowed,
We
but
do.
with
They
3
try.
inches
We
or,
do.
you know, I don't
Thought it
expect, I'm
used to
not
be
being
3
picky.
inches.
Yeah, he
You
has
know.
that.
Okay, so I'm gonna table this for right now. $200 for this year alone, and then 3% for each year after that. Is that cool with everybody?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's what we have to put in the letter she's gotta send out for everybody to vote on.
It's not gonna be $200 this year.
Or,
It'll start next year.
I've already sent out the February.
oh,
It'd
okay.
be 100 and all.
Okay, she'll figure out a price, guys.
Okay.
Can we also
Okay.
put in a letter, like, potential dates for another meeting for a reevaluation of, like, cause these meetings should be happening annually, right?
Every year,
At
we're
least.
doing them every year.
We haven't had it for eight or 10
Right, but that's what I'm
years.
saying, in the letter that's being
2017.
sent out, cause we
But you're
can
okay
send out
with
extra
that,
letters,
right?
however many, and I get
You're
that you're
okay
paying
with your
for them,
regular,
but
I
however,
wouldn't make sure.
It should be
can
more
we
than
put in
that.
there potential dates so that we can vote on that before, like, cause having a week, like, thankfully, again, I don't have weekends and things like that, but other people that we could have had higher attendance had we had more time to, like, it was like a week and a half-ish
Mhm.
of like, here is the date, and there was no other options.
Well, with certain
So-
people wanting a meeting right this minute,
No,
we
no,
only
I
had
under-
10 days notice
I
to do
understand that, what
this.
I mean is, can we put potential future dates in, so that, in this letter, so that we can vote on that?
We're gonna do it every year around the 1st of March. But you can go over to Dee's house, you can knock on my door,
I mean, I understand how
and you
that
can say,
works.
hey, we need to talk about this for a second. Write it down, and I'll give it to Dee, and we'll discuss it and see what we can do to help you out. That's all we can do.
Right, I understand that part, I'm talking for just in general, since, so we don't go another 8 years or however.
No,
long
it's
been.
gonna be every year.
I will say though, on our postage for the mail, when we got our letter, cause you guys had come to the house, it had said 28th that was mailed, we didn't get it till last week.
I didn't get it
So-
until last week
So,
either.
I mean,
It's something to do
it
with
was
the
the
post
mail
office.
issue, it
It's
wasn't
the
your guys'
post
fault.
email.
She mailed them on Mondays the week
Yeah,
before.
that's what I'm
It's the
saying, it
post
wasn't your guys' fault.
I
Yeah.
kept asking everybody, do you have your letter? And they kept saying, what letter? We didn't get a letter.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know why.
Yeah, now that years, if you do it.
Now, I've noticed everything seems to be about 3 to 4 days after when I think it's going to land.
Sarah?
I just have a question about how things are decided. Like, you're our new trustee. And first of all, I just also want to say I appreciate you guys having this meeting after 6 years. It's been a long time. But I have been upset because, yes, we have been behind on our dues, and we have been behind on our dues for a long time recently, most recently the last year. But we've been here for 3.5 years, and the times when I did present my dues, they were in my name. And I would just like to hear the logic behind when I put my nomination in to become a trustee for the neighborhood, why those dues were returned, because I wasn't a legitimate homeowner, because my name isn't on my title or my loan of my house, but you accepted my dues in the past that were in my name for our home. So I just wanted to understand like how I wasn't eligible.
We have to table that because that's personal. You can talk to us after the meeting.
It's
Feel free. Nobody knew nothing about your dues or anything till you just said something, but that's personal.
well, that part,
This is a
Everybody
homeowners meeting. Are you a
When they
homeowner?
could matter who pay them.
I am a homeowner.
How? Is your name on his house?
Money.
It is not,
Okay, so
Then
you are
you're
not
not
a
a
homeowner, you cannot speak, so please be
But-
quiet the rest of the meeting.
but under the stipulation of other laws, it does make me a homeowner.
Top tier
You
height.
need to stop. That is personal.
It's just a
You
question.
need to stop. I'm answering your question right now. Stop or leave. It's easy as that.
I was asking D.
Well, she's gonna say the same thing. I am conducting this meeting. I am the conductor. I say who goes, who stays.
Can D speak for
She
herself?
can speak for herself, but it's gonna be the same damn thing. It's a personal matter. She just said it.
I don't appreciate you cussing me.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cuss. When I'm around my house, I cuss like a sailor. I apologize.
Well, we are not at your
But
house.
okay, you need to leave now.
Hey,
I don't.
control your temper,
Now,
Randy.
you
This
need to
is
leave.
not appropriate.
You need to go.
I do know that
We're gonna put
I
this
can go
meeting on
down and
hold
pay
until
my
she leaves.
brother-in-law's phone bill or electric
Please
bill or
don't,
gas
please,
bill. and
please don't bring up nothing else until she leaves.
So,
That's the
If
law.
we're going based on attitude, I feel like you should leave too,
Yeah,
because you're being
hold-
disrespectful.
yeah, hold on.
If you want me to
Gonna
leave, I can leave.
subdivision.
I'm not being disrespectful.
Well, but
I'm
I
telling
disagree.
you the truth, okay?
Understandably so.
That is a personal matter.
so,
Okay,
no, we wanna know when we had a vote to,
it's all up
have
on you.
a
Sorry.
trustee. When was that voted on for Randy?
Nobody else was eligible.
It does not.
Dee voted me in with one
Okay, as a
vote.
homeowner, I have a question then.
You can't do
Jesus
that.
Christ, come on, babe.
What qualified to be a trustee? Because we've been there 1.5 years up to date on our dues.
Come on,
and
babe.
We didn't receive a letter.
Okay.
So like, we couldn't even
That was my
submit
question.
to potentially be a
Yeah.
trustee. So what was the stipulations
Now,
for
I
that?
could go and
That
pay
should
your
have all
dues, it
been
shouldn't matter
talked
where the
about
money
at a
comes from.
meeting, not just a letter, because not everybody got
Yeah,
it.
that's what my question is. So, when I talked to you, Dee, about this, correct? I talked to you on your front porch. Hold on, I just wanna, can I
Well,
answer my
I'm
question,
standing up
please?
so I can hear you and you
Okay.
can hear me.
So when I talked to you on your front porch, I said, I don't feel that it's fair that it was dictated as to who got letters. I don't feel that it's fair that it's dictated as to who gets to vote and who doesn't get to vote on stuff.
Can I answer that part before you go on?
I quote, you told me, the word for word, you said, when you're in a club and you're not up on dues, you're not eligible to get letters about what's going on or to vote on stuff. This isn't a club, this is a homeowners association. Even if we were behind on our dues, and I can tell you why we were behind on our dues. We were behind on our dues because I asked you multiple times for a meeting and you kept telling me nothing justifies it. I asked you multiple times what we could do to facilitate a meeting. Never had a meeting. So I didn't pay my dues because I didn't feel that we had any voice in it. We were just pay our money and you do whatever with it.
Okay.
When I asked you for a meeting and you said, yeah, we'll have a meeting, I paid my dues immediately. That's the point. I don't have a problem with paying my dues as long as I feel like we're part of this community. My wife lives in my house with me. She's not first on the title, but if you look at the title I have, she's TOD'd on my title. So technically she's on the title to my house.
I look at the county record.
Okay, so either way, even if she couldn't be a trustee because she's not on a title to the house, the fact that you sent letters out for votes for a trustee to selective people, regardless if somebody was in good standings and was capable of becoming a trustee or not, every home in the neighborhood should have received that same letter to let every homeowner know that there's a vote coming up for it. And then every homeowner in the neighborhood should receive a letter as to when said vote was done. Every homeowner in the neighborhood should receive a letter for a meeting. Just because somebody's behind on their dues does not mean that they should not be allowed to come into a meeting and know what's going on with the
Dave, you wanna talk
community.
about our restriction?
It's not in here.
Our neighbor's on a
'Cause I
payment
looked.
plan, and she's not
You
allowed to
wanna
come to
talk
any of
about
the
the
meetings because
restriction
they're
of
not
people
caught
who
up.
haven't
can-
paid dues cannot come to a
I can
meeting.
offer opinion, folks, I really can. You know, we're all part of the same community, like I was saying about, it's like buying a pizza, you know, or if we're all gonna share in the expense, it's like that. So the point I was a past trustee and part of these concepts, 2000 range, you know, 20 years ago, and I'm no longer in that position, I stepped out, just from the frustrations of getting things done. But I will say that we all agreed at the time that if somebody wasn't a homeowner, we saw that as they weren't vested in the subdivision. Say for example, we had a homeowner that was renting out their house, and they wanted to delegate their residence as a voting member.
I
They
agree
weren't
with that.
vested
I agree with that
long-term
100%.
in that picture. So we chose to say, hey, to vote, you had to be a member. Yeah, or you had to be an owner of the property. We didn't want outside influences coming into our community as far as defining how the money was spent or how decisions were made when they weren't vested in that. That's why we did those things. And that was 20 years ago. The process that they were going through as far as mailing out these, and sorry you were caught up in that loop, but the process they were going through as far as presenting those out is presenting those to eligible voters and eligible trustees. And we did the same thing for people that weren't up to speed on their dues. If they were not investing in the cost, why would we want them making a decision on where the money was spent? You know, that was the logic in those expenses, and that all of those things were set up 20 years ago.
So, and I understand that. I do. I understand it completely. But, you know, it sounds like the biggest reason why why that was put in place, like for the trustee thing, was because there is houses in our neighborhood that are rented out. And I do believe that those renters shouldn't be able to be a homeowner. I agree with you 100%. They could move out tomorrow, you know? But when you have a situation like, you know, this is my wife. If something happens to me, she will have the house. Like, it'll be hers. She is entirely vested 100%. If we get divorced tomorrow, the house gets split because we're married.
No,
Like,
I
she has a
understand.
complete vested interest in the home. Like, she is a vested homeowner in the house. So I understand 100% with the renter situation. I do,
Okay, well,
100%.
you understand about, I'm hoping that you can understand how that was done, is how do we define that? How do we define, and that was by who was on the title. That was how we defined that picture. We didn't anticipate what we
Right.
see in front of us today.
Okay, so with that then, Chris and I are both on our title. We are up to date. We did not receive a letter to potentially put our ad in to be a trustee. So what are the eligibility requirements
That's-
then?
I'm not sure why they bypassed. If you were if you're a
Yes.
homeowner and you
I'm
were.
listed first on our title. He is listed second, not as like a TOD or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, we are both active to the county.
You should have received, I
So-
don't know why that went that way. I wasn't involved in that.
Correct,
mailing
and
of that.
I understand that, I appreciate, you know, your contribution here,
Yeah.
but, you know, like, who all got the letters, or who didn't receive letters that should have received letters, you know, like, to me, like, I've not lived in an HOA, and I can see why people have a bad taste in their mouth right now, like, from the experience that we've had in the almost 2 years that we've been there,
Sure.
because of the, like, lack of transparency, the lack of communication, the lack of meetings, like, and I'm frustrated, probably along with everybody else, based off of a lot of the same issues that are not coming up because of this, like, I don't know. I'm just.
I go-
What makes somebody eligible to have become a trustee then?
Simone?
Since we didn't get a
Well,
letter.
if they're up to date on their dues
Okay.
and they have a history of that, they're up to date and they're a homeowner, they should be eligible for those conditions.
Right, so
Right,
it
and
would,
wouldn't that get even a post-dated letter past anything saying like, oh, it got caught in the mail or anything, like, there was zero communication to us.
I actually have a piggyback question off of your point. How often are we supposed to have a vote on new trustees? Because
When you deem it.
everyone has a term
Yeah. Well, I'm
of
a
some
little
sort.
concerned, this guy threw a fit and just walked out on
And
us. I
he's-
don't know
and
who he
he's
is,
our
but
new
I don't like
trustee.
his temper and his
But
attitude right now.
Simone, did you get a copy of the, everybody get
It's
a
a
copy of the trustee
I got it.
bylaw?
No, I got,
No.
the
No,
only thing that
never
we got
seen
when we
them.
moved in was a rules of cannots, not like what the bylaws of like what they are, it's here's what you cannot do, is the only
that's
thing that
that's
we
what
received.
we've got.
So like, we can't park in the street, we can't
Right.
have like certain livestock, which, you know, like, again, most of those do nots are, to me,
Where you get
fairly
those?
reasonable, so like, I don't have complaints necessarily about that. But I don't know some of the other rules, and again, from not living in an HOA, like, I lived in the county for most of my life, and before that I was in the city, so like, I don't have an HOA background where I would know
Do
some
you
of
know
those.
why you don't park in the street?
Yes, I mean.
Fire department
correct.
made us put them up.
Correct, and I have no problems with the do nots, like, I agree with those, but like, some of those, the questions that I think we have would be if we had the bylaw, like, not just the do nots, but like the rules and expectations of not just what we can't do, but
Yeah,
what the
just
expectation
for
of
myself
the
to
HOA
take
is
home
as
or-
well.
You can,
and what
you
they
can
should
have
be
them. I have
following.
2 copies.
You can have
Miss, I'm sorry,
No, no,
I kinda, I thought you
Been there
directed
for
the
18 years, never seen
question
it.
to me
I'm sure.
personally.
Yes, well, I mean,
But I missed your question, and what was your specific question?
what, I guess the original question, what is the eligibility then of, somebody who's to be a trustee?
Okay.
Because
and
we did not receive a letter being in good standing and both being homeowners then.
You should have, if
Correct.
you were in good standing, homeowner, up to date on their dues, you should have been
Thank
eligible
goodness
for
he's here.
that vote.
So
I'm
then it-
sorry, I don't know who you are. What's your last name?
Again, we live right across from my mother. I'm Simone Vanetta, this is Chris Vanetta.
Okay.
I live at 6032, so we have not been behind, and if I need to pull up, you know, we split, so we pay a check
Yeah.
each time,
You should have been eligible.
correct.
I
I'll
sent a
let-
letter to you. I have it noted. The people that I did not send letters to, I have those noted. So why you
It could
didn't
be
get
the
it,
mail.
I don't know.
I mean, but the mail only getting to certain people and not other people, it gets,
No,
but I mean,
I get other people's mail, you know, and I
Yeah.
gotta put it back in my mailbox a lot.
But I did send you a letter. The reason why certain people did not get letters
it's because they were not up to date. or
was
they-
because they had not paid their dues, they had liens on their property, and for them to send in saying, yes, I want to be a trustee, and then tell them, no, you can't be one. Why am I going to send out a letter to somebody who can't be one?
If I might, can I, help, because I see a lot of people are up, because I'm not a
Sorry, I'm only
trustee,
up
but
because I
I
can't see
can help
trustee.
support with experience of what the bylaws, of the subdivision and stuff are. And I can help control environment a little bit, if you all trust me to do that, I'll step into, help the
Well-
guide. I lost track of who was up first. I
Jen
believe
hasn't
you.
had a chance yet.
And we'll give the floor and we'll go around the group here and one thing that I wanna project before we get too much further, as the homeowners, and if we're up to speed, we can choose our trustees as we see fit. We just have to have a majority vote of the members of our subdivision to do that. We can choose whoever we want.
But
So
how
and these-
often?
And these people that are here,
There's no set.
realize this is not a paid position, and it's out of their personal time and efforts to make this all happen. And the fact that we actually get road repair and we actually get snow removal is a plus, and we get our bills paid. That's a gift to our community from our trustees.
But
So-
do you understand that I'm not going to send a letter to somebody who
Right,
hasn't?
That wasn't her
That wasn't my question.
question.
My question was, as somebody who pays my dues and has been in good standing and we're both on there, neither one of us got a letter. But
You
other
should
people,
have.
right, that's
If
what I'm
you
I
saying.
don't know
directly,
why you
should
didn't
have.
Okay,
get it.
so a suggestion then, if we live in the neighborhood, like, can we, if the mail is so inconsistent, which I get all my bills arrive with no problem. So like, I don't know that it's necessarily always a post office thing. However, like, is there another option then for this where there's a centralized place of this is happening?
Yeah, what I would have suggested in your case is if you thought you were due a letter and you didn't, or you knew that it was happening and you didn't receive an invitation to put your name in the hat, is to stop by one of the trustees and say.
By the time I knew about it, it had already,
It already happened. Yeah, I
that's
don't
what
have
I
an
mean,
answer
like.
for you.
Could we maybe talk about building some kind of contraption where the trustees can post things in the event that maybe mail doesn't make it to people that
I'm
it,
glad you brought that up.
Or email.
okay,
I'm glad you brought that up. I guess probably maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. I posted all the time about things that were going on in the subdivision. You know, we're going to have this, we're going to have that, watch out, they're gonna be asphalting there, you know. I was on there all the time. And then another woman in the subdivision decided to set up a Facebook page, called it Whispering Winds Subdivision. It is very confusing for people because it isn't Whispering Winds Subdivision. It's one woman. And she's speaking whatever she wants to speak, but it's not coming from the trustees at all. We're not even on that. We don't know what they're posting. People come and go, I didn't know that was going on. I said, where did you hear that? Well, it was in the subdivision Facebook
There are
page.
two trustees.
Charles and Randy are on
There's
there.
There are
two
two trustees in there that are actively, except for when they deleted all of their comments after degrading a bunch of people that live in the subdivision. Magically, all of those comments got deleted.
Well, I posted and nobody's
Correct.
posted it
So,
too.
I didn't know.
I've
there
gotten
was
more
I didn't know
information
there
since
was
I've
one.
I didn't know there was
lived
one
here.
either.
We would
She
love
said
to
she's
have
posting it, I
I've
don't know what
gotten
she's
more
posting.
information
it.
from
I don't
that
do
Facebook
computers.
page
Yeah.
about what's
I
happening in the
retired
subdivision than I
and
have
said I'd
gotten
learn.
anywhere else.
Right.
I
Well, that's
retired, didn't
because
have
you
to
don't
learn.
get mine anymore.
I got letters, I got one letter when we moved in, letting me know who my neighbors were and like, about the road, the thing up at the bar up the street.
I send that out to every new owner. Yeah.
Correct. But I don't know what other, there was nothing on that letter, and we still have it, where other information would be posted. So-
Excuse me,
I
may
don't
I
do it
offer, because
anymore.
I don't want to digress, and I hate to see our community digress into the conflict. So may I suggest as a positive, as a proactive thing, how do we fix this? If we post a community sign
Yeah.
that says, hey, we're gonna have a meeting at this specific date, somewhere in the path of the subdivision that's easy
You put
access.
a sign
to
on
I-
the top of the hill.
Says this is, we're gonna have a vote for trustees on this particular date. If you're interested
That would be
in
great.
applying, this is kind of that path, so it's not tied to somebody else's services or attention that it's,
I would be
I mail
willing,
letters to everyone.
oh, yeah, I know, but that we.
But if the post office is not, if I'm not,
If they're not received, they don't help, and if we post a sign in the subdivision, everybody can see it.
yes, and
Also, you know, I'll try to help, if everybody trusts me, I'll try to help out with a path. I think this lady on in here has been, she was, you know, I tried to stay in sequence of what I spotted to give everybody a chance. But I'll try to, if y'all vote me out, say, hey, we don't want this guy doing this anymore, somebody else can do it.
we appreciate you.
Yeah, we
You
appreciate
did a
it.
great job.
We do.
To give this lady a chance to speak here, I know she's been very patient.
Well, thank you, Dave, I appreciate it. I'm Jen, I live, right at, like, Crosswinds and Ozark Drive there. So, on that note about posting stuff, it is stated in the bylaws that there's supposed to be, 3 conspicuous places in the subdivision at least 5 days prior to elections and that sort of thing, so
Well noted.
that would,
Yeah, I saw that too.
yeah, so that would, address that. One thing I also wanted to mention is I don't know if I need to officially challenge, but Randy was not voted in. I did not find anything within the bylaws where sitting trustees are able to appoint. It does say not more than 3, so it doesn't have a requirement of 3 So I personally did want to challenge his appointment because there was no official vote. I do know the last time we voted, we only had 3 people that stepped up. We still did an official vote to vote them in, you know, just for the paperwork part of it. So that was something I wanted to mention because there was no official vote for Randy, so I don't know how valid that is. And I also support whoever mentioned about having a yearly meeting. I know a lot of subdivisions, well, maybe not a lot, but have, you know, the first Thursday, the first Saturday of March or whatever like that. I think that would be great. People could plan. The library does have free use for HOAs. Unfortunately, they're not open on Sundays, but we're never gonna please everybody. You know, I work 2+ jobs, so, you know, I was very excited I was actually able to come today. I know we talked about the dues and stuff. I had something else, but my phone's not working, I apologize. But anyway, that's some of my stuff. I had some other things, so
So
those are my main
suggesting
things.
a formal vote for, Randy of the subdivision.
I haven't been
Yes,
impressed.
and I think somebody else had mentioned about having another meeting coming up that's a little more planned. I know it used to be one of the spots where the signs were put up when we had meetings and stuff, was kind of, sort of in my front yard, not really my front yard, but in between my house and the others, like the property line. And I have no issue with that.
Excuse me, do
That's-
you mind, Mark, Butch, do you mind making a note of that? Do we project that out? Cause she's within the bylaws, so we should probably have a vote.
Well, the
So-
reason why we did it that way was that we sent letters out to everyone who was eligible. We got nobody back except Randy.
Okay,
So
so he's
he
the only,
nominated himself,
well,
She's stepping down,
and
right?
yeah, I know,
one
but,
vote would put Randy in.
No, it's gotta be
so,
majority.
well, no, it's
So
gotta
I
be the
voted for
majority of.
Randy.
It's gotta
He
be,
voted for Randy.
Yeah, no, but it's
It has
gotta
to
be.
be
the
a
He's
majority
not
of-
doing us any good right now, is he?
I'm
He's not doing
sorry,
us any good now. Look,
I'm sorry, I'll exert this control a little bit, but we have the parameters of a group of our representation of our subdivision, that if we project that out to say, hey, we're gonna have a vote on Randy as a trustee and vote,
Okay.
and see what the results are. Just the
He only needs
trustees,
one
just
vote to
because.
win.
I
No,
know
he
that, but
shall
we
be
need a
elected by
majority, whoever's there in the
It
meeting.
says majority.
We're not gonna have another meeting.
Why not?
We
Okay,
need-
we'll have another meeting, because it doesn't require the trustees to have a meeting.
Well, I wasn't aware, that's good.
So it's the community, we just need the majority in the understanding with our subdivision that we're gonna have a meeting.
So my question is what about another meeting where we can make sure where everybody knows, so we can have people that step up to be a trustee? Because I just feel it's important that everybody be aware.
Amen.
Sure.
It has to be, it has to be.
You had 3.5 weeks to decide and let me know.
I'm not talking about me.
No, I know, but people in the subdivision got a letter saying if you wanna
But
be,
not everybody got the letter, so we need
because
to,
not
we need to
everybody
bench
was
that one.
eligible to get the
Right,
letter.
but we need to bench that one. Not everybody got a letter. So moving forward,
Also eligible did not get a letter. So, okay.
right,
Okay, so
that's what I'm saying. So moving forward, let's,
So
we're gonna have to do it
So
So what
different
we're
next
saying
time.
today is that we want another meeting, that we want a vote, and it's not majority of you guys, because that's not fair. With 3 people, you're gonna have majority of 2 people are already sitting. So it's a majority, if I'm understanding, majority of the subdivision.
Yes.
Of the
Not
homeowners,
of the
Yes.
homeowners,
Yes.
who essentially
whether
are
you
the
paid your
HOA,
dues
which
in
you guys
full
would
or
be then
not, if you
included.
live there.
As
Agreed.
homeowners, you guys will get your votes, just not as a majority of, just the trustees, like, so
And
we're
it-
asking, we're not
it does
really
say
asking
you
at this
have
point, we're
to
telling
be
you that we want a
paid
meeting,
up.
we're telling you that we
Oh,
want a vote.
I agree with that.
Is there anything else? that we
Well, they're
want?
trying, like I said, we got a
Yeah,
neighbor that's on
we're
a
getting
fence.
to that. We'll try to
People are
structure in a way to where we'll post in the subdivision that there's a meeting coming
An
up.
agreed
We're gonna
scheduled
meet
payment
there.
plan.
As a trustee.
No, the
One
trustees,
individual
our trustees,
paid
once again,
$10
these
a
are
month.
unpaid positions
Well,
that
It
help
kept
us
him under
complete the
300.
task,
That's all we
that
want.
actually do the task.
If we get money.
So if we're gonna do this, we end up with a path of who is gonna post that note. Who are gonna do these things. And the trustees, hopefully, we can get that cooperation from the trustees to
So
post for us.
I'm going to send a letter out to everyone in the subdivision.
No,
so that
wait a
they-
second, we're
No,
gonna
that's
post
not
on the end
working.
of the street.
We're talking about a contraption, like some kind of board that can be,
Well, the reason why
erected so
I
that
didn't
you
do
can
that
post
is
on.
that those were written in the 1960s.
No, I know, but that's the
No,
only
we're-
path that we can guarantee that people in the
We're-
subdivision see the event.
we're talking about somewhere where you guys can not only just mail these letters, mail these notices, but have a place where you could just post it, so when people
notice,
drive by,
meeting coming
they
up,
can see
subdivision
it.
I'm
meeting.
sorry, I'm trying, I'll try, sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
But I think we're on track, but I'll try to step through this. Lady on the far right, I'm sorry, I don't know your
Me?
name. Yes, you had your hand
I'm
up
Cheryl.
earlier.
I was,
Michelle?
the reason my hand was up is pretty much the same as what's being brought up now.
Okay,
Is I believe we need to have another meeting, we need to start this whole thing about the trustee,
okay,
so other
Ta-
people
taken.
can step
So-
up.
okay.
And not only just for trustees, like, you're talking about having, there's a Facebook or whatever, or something where we can all communicate. I'd be willing to work on that. I don't have the health or the time between doctors to be a trustee. I would love to. I would love to help the community in any way that I can. But if we can figure out a way to communicate, how much could we save
Okay,
in
can we-
postage?
can
Or
we
what
push
if
that?
someone went and put letters on doors? Postage is so expensive. I know that you know that better than anybody.
Well, Dee
Well, that's
actually,
why
she
I
got
did it that way, to make
ridiculed
sure everyone
at one
got
point,
it.
cause she
I
put,
know, I heard,
okay.
I did hear about
Post
that.
stuff in the mailbox, that's a
Right.
federal thing, so like.
You guys can
No,
use my
not the
yard.
mailbox.
Oh.
So I live at the corner of Ozark
That's what I
and
was gonna say.
Crosswinds and all that. I'm at that corner. You guys can put a board in my yard on that corner if you want. And I mean, I don't care. There's a stop sign there. You can put a board right by the sewer drain. You can post whatever you want on it, like for the neighborhood. People can, I mean, but you know what I mean? Then everybody is going to drive past it. I mean, minus the, what is there, like 10, maybe 8 houses
To
past
remind
me?
everyone.
You know what I
within
mean?
Within the bylaws, it says that there have to be 3 conspicuous places within the subdivision
Okay.
posted. So we gotta catch the entrance in and out, somewhere midway.
Well, we got
between
3
maybe
side
your
roads,
yard
so.
Yeah, you
and
can do it
your
in my
spot.
yard.
But once we hit that path, then we're within the bylaws of what is a, and I'm gonna step because we're running out of time, and I
Yeah.
have this young lady on the far left, blonde hair,
Oh.
right next to Frank, Sarah.
Oh,
Shit.
yeah.
Yeah, you had your name up earlier, was it the same topic?
It was the same topic. I just want you to know that at 6001, if you guys want to note it, we would be happy to let our yard be a place where you could have one of those 3
Boards.
conspicuous
Yeah.
Okay.
to post things for when people
And that
drive
gentleman,
by.
the beard right behind you. Well, keep moving, because sorry to push everybody, but we
It's
gotta-
okay.
Yeah,
We gotta
appreciate it.
round it up.
So what, I know when we moved in, we got the covenants and restrictions, and we got kind of a few documents that were notarized, copies of notarized documents saying that there were some amendments that had happened to the bylaws. We didn't have the full body of the bylaws themselves. What are the best ways to get copies of those, all of the governing documents for the HOA?
I brought them over to your house.
That did not.
I
include
give
the
everyone that
bylaws.
moves in a copy of the bylaw.
Okay, how about,
well,
I mean,
internet?
I've
my
got 20,
question,
I'll bring you
my-
another one.
Regardless, I don't have a copy of them.
Okay, I'll
So
bring you another one.
what's the, okay, so the best way is just for me to ask you right now.
As soon as
And-
anybody moves in, I send them a
Okay.
welcome letter and tell, it's usually 2 pages long, tell you all about the
Yeah.
subdivision, how the worst thing is trying to get out of here in the winter, talk to you about other things that are in there, and I bring over the copy of the restrictions with it. But, I've got tons of them, I'll bring you one today.
Well, the covenants and restrictions and bylaws are not the same document.
Like, yeah,
They're all stapled together in one.
I got the same thing. I got the restrictions of like the do's and don'ts, which again, there's not many in there that I'm like, these are unreasonable. It's the bylaws that we're wanting, so we know what to expect
Sure.
from a governing, like, it's not a governing body, but essentially there is somebody that is in charge telling people they can and cannot,
And
aside from those rules.
also, are the governing documents for the HOA on file with the county as well?
Yes.
Yeah, the bylaws are filed in Hillsborough.
Where could we go to get the copy if we were to go to the court? I have like 2 copies of all of that, but if we were to just want to go down to the county, where specifically would you go?
Recorder
The
deeds.
The recorder of deeds?
Yeah,
Okay.
recorder of
Dunnigan.
deeds would be the person or the
In the annex,
place, the office
In
to
the
get
annex?
that.
downstairs.
The
Okay.
bylaws as they were originally written, what was it, 60s that they? Yeah. So there's amendments, you see this chain of events of what was the original
Right.
amended, moving forward, and I suggest that we could see where we came from and how we got there.
Yeah.
I suggest we keep that same path and just keep amending to the bylaws of what are the corrections that we wanna make.
Yeah.
I'll try to keep stepping. Did I miss anybody at the back table back there that was due to speak? Miss?
I think on this same topic, because there is quite a bit of confusion about that packet of documents that is provided to new homeowners, and even as I was looking through, it feels like a little bit of a rat's nest of various documents. It's hard to actually figure out what each document means. I would maybe just very respectfully like to suggest that maybe our HOA's archiving and record-keeping system could stand to be updated. I think there are better ways that we can be keeping documents on file, making those documents available to our community members, even better methods of communication that are more up-to-date, more digitally based. I think, we are about at that place where if some things haven't been changed since 2000 or 2003, and we still have some things hanging on since the 1960s, I do think in the next year or so, it would be wise for us to go back and actually really reconsider some of our bookkeeping methods and archiving practices.
Miss, are you volunteering for that service?
I can help. I can help with some of that, yes.
In that mix of all of us is that contribution that we get, and these are unpaid services, so.
I would love to be a trustee if I had the time. I'm a full-time high school teacher. I don't have a lot of additional time, but if that's something that I could help with, if it's not massively time consuming, I would be willing to help in that regard.
And maybe there would be a few of us that could get together and work on it together.
Are-
That's the whole thing. I don't feel like it's been, I sometimes don't feel like we're a welcoming community.
Did you have all the amendments?
I also don't feel
The
like
amendments to the
we're
back.
treated with respect, especially with what just
No
happened.
comment.
I mean, there's other
We're
things that I know
too
have
long
gone
ago.
on with trustees. They don't own us.
Put my eyes on it.
We appreciate what they do, not that we don't, but that doesn't mean that we have to be talked to like that or cussed
This
at.
one's
I
2011.
agree with your assessment
That's when we
on
moved
that.
in.
And like I said, the trustees, I can't say enough, I was in that loop.
Sure.
It's a thankless
Yeah.
position to be in.
Exactly.
No matter what you do, you can't please everybody. So,
Exactly.
it's a hard path to run.
Respect goes both ways, I
Right,
guess is what
right.
I'm trying to say.
But I do agree that we all have to work together, we're all in the same boat here with this subdivision, so we're all gonna have to work it out.
Exactly.
I just have a quick question. You said that we're all welcome to come to your house and look at the books because you yourself are an open book and you're willing to share this information with the neighborhood. Is it possible that you'd be willing to maybe send out an annual, update of, the financials,
She does.
She does.
when did we get that?
That's, she does. That's the one that just says what they paid for.
It comes out with the bill.
Like just like the cost of the concrete for, or the paving of the road, the plowing.
Every bill
We
I
do get
pay
that.
is on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
financial
Twice a
statement.
year.
Okay,
I
so.
would
The
just,
first person that's ever done that.
So when it comes to the paving of the road, if it's more than what you would bring in, if you got max payments, then,
We don't contract with something if we don't have the money to pay for it.
well, that's kind of what I was gonna get at. Is there any company that you could find for a bid that would do like a buy now, pay later, like finance?
We,
For roads,
as a
or is that not a
trustee, we
thing?
made a
This is just a
decision not to
genuine
get
question.
into debt.
financing.
Right,
No.
to get into
Yeah.
those financing. So that's where we was talking about those, those assessments. That if we did have an emergency situation, we would be loaded up with a one-time assessment on, hey, this is what that extended cost was.
Okay, it was a genuine question.
Sorry.
I think it would be, useful, and if it's not, feel free, everybody can tell me it's not, but, I think it would be useful to like determine what's needed in the, cause I'm busy a lot, you know? I'm not saying that I can't help at all, but I'm busy a lot, and I think it's behooves everybody to know kind of like, just because you're if you wanted to be a trustee, like what are the roles that would be needed as a trustee? Not just you got to be a trustee, so you're needed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, blah 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 blah. But such as like, you know, this. She said that she would help with going digital with it. Okay, so is there like a role in a trustee position where it's just keeping up with like the digital aspect of bylaws or communication? Is there roles where it doesn't have to be the same roles that it was in the 60s when this place was built? You know, I work in an organization where there's roles for everything. Okay, there's roles for every little thing, and every little thing isn't necessarily this is gonna take 100% of your time thing. It's hey, this is something that you can check once a week on a Saturday and get everything up to date, and then it keeps everything running smooth. There doesn't, and this is just my opinion, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that there's like a 3 trustee thing or a 4 trustee thing. Is there roles that are appointed to alleviate the workload off of everybody, so it's more of a community taking care of a community and less of these 3 people are oversee and dictate everything? Does that make sense?
Well, I don't like the word dictate to begin with.
Yeah.
But the 3 trustees, whenever we have some kind of a project, and if we would be working on that ditch on Ozark, we would ask, is there anybody that can come up on Saturday and help us dig the ditches out? The homeowners have allowed us to work on their property, and we're gonna clean them out. So we ask for people that will come and work. We've got.
If we could know ahead of
that
time.
always do, the rest, nobody, you know.
Well, you said something about posting something before. I've never
I've
seen
heard it.
anything you
I've heard it.
posted. I don't know
Sorry
if
to
you
interrupt,
posted
folks,
that.
I'm trying to stick with our, sorry to
I'm
interrupt
sorry.
with this.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I wanna
Butch
thank
has
you
his
all
hand up.
for the appreciation on the last snow we got. I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning with my plowman. That's what I do.
Right.
I do it a lot, and I work every day too.
All right.
I do Uber Eats and that, cause I'm 80
Yeah.
years old. You know,
Yeah.
I make $500-600 a week just piddling around.
Mr. Martin,
Yeah.
can you tell us, and again, this is a genuine question, I really want you to know that. I want to understand that, as you said, you were up till 4 in the morning and you were plowing and you posted it on our Facebook page, and we were grateful for that because you know this whole
I got a
neighborhood has
lot of
complained about the
appreciation from
roads. Okay, I even said thank you, and I know
I
you and
see
I have
that.
had disagreements.
Oh, yeah.
I was thankful, but when you say that it's a contract for your guy to come and other people can't help,
We got a signed contract.
well, I
And
understand.
he
Was
can
this
sue
one
the
they talking about where it's
subdivision
posted? I never knew that
if
was
we
there.
break that
We've
contract.
never, nobody's ever.
But
told
what,
us.
That's what I'm trying to tell you there. You know, he is under contract to us. And you agree with this, don't you? I mean, we
Yeah, I
signed a
was-
contract with our signatures on it.
does he allow you, since, is it because you're a trustee, does he allow you to help him?
No, I don't help him. That plow's mine. I just bought that truck.
Okay,
I gotta work on the plow. you know, I cannot use my plow in the subdivision because I'm a trustee.
That's right.
Okay.
I cannot do it, I don't work for him. That is my personal equipment.
Okay.
That four-wheel drive is my personal
I just,
equipment.
I just wanted to
Somebody-
understand
Somebody
why,
put in there, you know, on the Facebook, I don't know how I got on your Facebook page, I didn't join it, you know? All of a sudden, I'm on Facebook with you.
well, you know, we do like the
That's
fact
when-
that,
That's when, what's her name, Cody?
yeah,
That's when she started it. I ended up on that Facebook page and I didn't join it.
I don't know how, but just so Dee knows too, like there is another trustee that's on there and can see like everything else that is being posted, and like you guys can share that amongst each other,
I
and
mean, I've got copies, you know, on my phone right now, a list about yay long in
So-
my phone where people cuss me out on there and everything else.
right, you know, but I
And
just,
like Jen, you know, she says, would everybody, you know, more or less,
if there's one thing that, you know, I just hope that, you know, Dee understands is that I think the main thing that all we want is communication, and we just want, you know, the transparency and the ability to talk and discuss these things. I think we have made so much progress today, having this meeting.
People, you know, talk about, you know, I was in asphalt 50 years. When I first went in asphalt, you know what asphalt cost? $5 a ton. And, you know, I've been foreman, I've run big crews,
Now you're lucky
I've
to
worked
get
at
it.
big asphalt companies. And, you know, I'm 80 years old, and I'm still in good shape for an old man 80 years old. I've got 50, 60 grandkids, great-grandkids, and everything else. I've got 9 kids.
So we have a contract, does anybody know how long that contract is for?
I'm surprised
We
about.
signed it for 4 years.
Is it got, okay, so does the
I'm surprised that
contract,
we stepped into that, but, I'm sorry, this gentleman,
Yeah.
in the glasses right here.
All I'm wanting to say is bottom line, I know everybody was dreading this first meeting in all these years.
Sure.
But this is why it's chaos, because nobody's communicated. If we start having them every year, I just wanna reiterate that if we have them every year, things will get better. I mean, it's the first time I've heard we had a Facebook page. I didn't know how anybody's finding anything out. We've all learned something out there. Let's just continue to get together. There's gonna be less questions, less arguing. We've learned something out of it. Thank you for letting us have the meeting. I don't care if it didn't go anywhere today.
Thank you
But
for
it
your-
did
Thank
go
you
somewhere
for your input.
with
Really
us
appreciate
personally.
it.
Right.
Thank you.
You know.
Miss, red hair, green in the back, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. You had your
Simone.
hand up a minute ago.
Oh,
You're-
Dee
you're-
and Mr. Martin, can we all just like together in this moment agree that we can start at least having yearly meetings?
Yeah, we'll have one.
Can we?
And if we make it in real warm weather, you see how big my front yard is.
We have a big yard too.
yeah.
I mean, my back one's a little bit.
I mean, yeah, but what do you think, Dee? I mean, how do you feel? You are a trustee too, your voice matters, we wanna hear it.
We'll have a meeting every year.
The reason why I sent letters out and we did not post it in the subdivision, we had a big post that we could use coming down the hill, and one of the ladies, in a snowstorm, went off the side of the road and down in the woods and broke it off. The other one is in your yard, and I don't know where the third one is. But it seemed to me to be a much more effective and personal way to mail you a letter directly than to just hang it on a board somewhere. Because I guess if it's hanging on a board somewhere, you're gonna see it. But I personally would rather get a letter directed to me, inviting me to a meeting, rather than having it hanging on a board.
But people aren't gonna come to your house
But
every
also we're
month. That would be annoying for you. You know, like if people come knocking at your door, like, Dee, when is this? Dee, what's going on? That would be annoying for you. It would be
Put our
better
phone
to
number
just
and
have
put
something
our
posted.
address on there,
And it's
that's
the
what
law,
we're
too.
for. And the problem is the miscommunication with the subdivision name. People move in and they go, oh, look, there's a Facebook page for the subdivision, and it really isn't.
But the real question was like, are you in favor of having at least annual meetings with your neighborhood?
I've never had a problem with it. Never had a problem with it.
Well, you voiced to me that you don't have a need or a want for a meeting because people don't
I
come.
don't think that.
You know, that's why I want to know how you feel in this moment
The
today.
way that I feel about it, and as I've lived in the subdivision, like I say, since the 70s, the way that I would like the subdivision to run is that if you bought a house in Kirkwood, in Arnold, in wherever, pick a city, you don't know anybody that works on the street department, you don't know anybody in the water department, you don't know anybody that takes care of the light, you don't know any of those people. You've got your own house, your own family, and that's where you need to be. That's the way I like the subdivision to run. I like us to be in the background, that you don't even have to know we're there. If there's a problem, you can let us know and we'll go fix it, but nobody in the subdivision needs to know all about what everything's going on. I don't think that, you know,
Well, you
if
need
we're.
some say so.
But if I'm putting money towards it, I wanna know what's going on. And that's, I think.
Well,
where
you
we're-
wouldn't be able to do that if you lived in Kirkwood.
I
You'd
would,
be
that's-
up there
it's
every
But
public
it's
day.
not,
Where my
that, this is
taxpayer
our
money goes is public.
subdivision.
I would know that because
I
when
wouldn't live in
I lived
Kirkwood
in the
anymore.
county, I paid
Taxes
taxes
went
in the
too
county.
high.
I could
Mhm.
go to St. Louis County website and see exactly
I was
what,
there
how
for
much was going.
30-some years.
And then I had a representative that I could go and talk to if things weren't getting done. So as an HOA, while it is a free, like you are not getting paid to do that, that is what you signed up to be, is that representation of what is happening in the subdivision, where my money is going, what
Well,
it's
would
being
you
spent
like
on.
us then, that when Mr. Martin is going to patch the next pothole, to call you?
Are you? you're
Would you
seriously
like to
talking
know
me
when
like
he's
that
gonna
right
go
now?
down to Lowe's to buy the bag of asphalt? And then when he comes home, he can call you and let you know what day he's going to
Perfect.
fix the pothole.
Sign, write that down, call me. I'll post it on the Facebook page, edit in the Facebook page. I went to the Facebook page because I didn't have communication, so you're right, I did.
There was communication before the Facebook page. But
There
there
was
were
a
things
letter.
being posted on it that were not true.
I think if Mr. Martin, for example, were to post on our Facebook page even to just say, hey, I'm gonna do potholes on this day, for the simple fact, for the one person, for example, that it would inconvenience, the whole neighborhood would at least know. And if Dee would be willing to send a letter for that even, that's a second form of communication. Even then, it's something that you've done.
So-
To
Sorry
just-
to interrupt, Miss, sorry.
I think
I'm
their
gonna slow-
hour
I'm gonna
is
slow
over,
things
Dave.
down a little bit here, just exerting the control just a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, Miss Far back table.
Who runs the Facebook page?
Good question.
So Cody, who is actually a previous
No, I do not.
person,
I do,
she-
I'm not an admin.
she does not. Cody, who actually does not live in the neighborhood anymore, who started, is still an admin. I recently requested to be an admin.
And it has been posted on that page repeatedly that this page is not anything from the trustees. It is simply homeowners in the subdivision because it started to communicate about the hill. That's how it started, because Cody was right at the bottom of the hill.
Right.
So, and then I was a little further down, and there was somebody else that was even further down. So that's how it started, and, you know,
Okay.
it's a whole lot of posts
It's
about
also
pets and
yeah.
stuff.
Okay, slow-
I mean,
slow
It's
down.
frequently used for other
once again,
things.
ma'am,
So then we need
Oh, I'm
somebody that
sorry.
actually lives in the subdivision to run it, because my posts don't
I
get
think
put
that's
on
in the
there.
best interest of the
Yeah.
subdivision, is
I'm
to
an
have
admin
somebody
now. I'll
that's
make sure
inside
your
the
stuff gets
subdivision run it, if that's
I'll
what we're
make sure
gonna
your
do.
stuff gets posted. I'm an admin on it now.
This, right next to you.
Are you on it?
White sweater,
because
please.
since Cody started it, she can't. get on
So
it.
on the Facebook page, I think it's pretty clear that this is the primary means by which many, but
Wait a
not
second,
all.
I wanna back up, because actually your trustees are your primary source of the actions. So
Yes.
if we're gonna set up, if y'all wanna set up nobody can stop anybody from setting up a Facebook page. But if you wanna get the trustees involved, they need to be voluntarily involved. So, that's you put up whatever post you want, and the community can interact with that as they want, but
Correct.
the trustees are controlling,
Yeah.
there are trustees in the subdivision right now.
And
Correct.
I was actually, that was kind of a point I was going to get to, because
Okay,
obviously the Facebook group is filling a vacuum
sure.
for a lot of people. There is the perception of a lack of communication. So this Facebook group, as much as it is unofficial, it is filling a need.
Right,
And so I think if there is, if maybe Dee's previous means of communicating with the homeowners isn't really in effect anymore, and then our only other alternative apart from Dee's letters to us is to look at the Facebook group, maybe we ought to consider how we can use the Facebook group platform to, and actually come up with a legitimate, official means of using that to communicate with the residents so that we don't have this tension between what is official and what's unofficial.
Sure.
Maybe that's something we can try to,
And once again, I think
bridge
that
the
that's
gap.
back to our bylaws and how they're structured and what they say. One other thing I would caution the group about, I'm an old guy, you know what I mean? I'm old, so I'm not on Facebook. You know what I mean? So a lot of our residents, Frank, you're not on there either. So a lot of our residents that are elderly and you know, out, they may not be on these platforms. But, you know, I encourage however we can get the majority of the group involved. But we still have to have that central point of what our trustees are. But I would caution everybody to think about the total of how do we get access to everybody in this path.
Right,
You
like
know,
how do we
not
find
just-
out that they need help cleaning out?
Or they're doing the road.
Making sure
or
everybody
doing the
knows,
road or
you know, hey, we need some help, so
Right.
we could say, hey.
The only letters I've ever gotten is you owe money. That's it. I've never, and then this one meeting. Otherwise,
And
I
maybe
don't
that
know of anything.
posting at 3 points within the subdivision
I
might
think-
be our path.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion, maybe
Yeah.
during the next meeting, maybe we,
Yeah, if somebody
push
needs help
that into our
mowing or
next
whatever, you
meeting
gotta
of
reach out to
saying
people.
corrective actions,
Gotta figure out where those
proactive,
signs went.
proactive
Come watch my drill.
contributions. How do we make this better, rather than how do we
Sure.
complain about what's existing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Move forward.
Yes, we're
We're
done.
gonna have to call it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, I
we
was kinda
only
worried
paid
about
for an
time.
hour, folks.
Okay, so, sorry, hey, appreciate your time, everybody, thank you.
Can I just
I have-
ask that, there's a lot of kids down our street,
Sure.
and
Yeah,
they're running
slow down.
through. There's cars that live at the end of the road past our house that drive like maniacs. And even with the speed bumps, and the families aren't outside watching their kids, so